is food addiction a real thing? And, you know, can you be addicted to food like you can, you know, like alcohol or drugs, for instance? It can be really confusing. So that's what I thought to talk about today. Can you be addicted to food? So hi, I'm Vanessa McLennan, a hypnotherapist, psychotherapist, and I help people with their binge eating and overeating by working on the inner them so that they can have a life free from food stress. So can you be addicted to food? Let's find out. What is an addiction? An addiction is the inability to stop using a particular substance or being able to partake in behaviours that you know are causing you physical and psychological harm. We can, though, misuse substances, and misuse of a substance is where you use a substance at a particularly high dose, and even again that might be in inappropriate settings, or again leading to harm in some way, physical or psychological. So categories that might fit in there might be, you know, gambling and sex. And food fits in here because, especially if you're binging, you're doing it in high doses and maybe you're unable to stop in that moment. But especially if you keep on binging, you know, binging is a pattern of yours, down the long term, that is going to cause you, you know, health problems. So even though in the, you know, DSM-5, the Diagnostical Statistical Manual, which, you know, health workers will definitely refer to for mental health disorders, food addiction then is not listed as an addiction. And it's probably not listed as an addiction because, you know, we can't not just let go of that substance, you know, like alcohol or drugs. You can just not saying you can, but as in you can let them go, whereas food, we need it to live on. Also, when we perhaps, let's say, stop eating a particular type of food, we may not get withdrawal symptoms like you may do with alcohol or drugs. So what I think you can be addicted to, so even though food as a generic group is not listed to, you know, as an addiction, I think you can be addicted to certain foods or certain ingredients, like foods like breads or pastas can be a little addictive in their nature, in that, you know, when you take them, they make you feel full up, they make you feel content. It's a very nice feeling. So there it's, are you addicted to that feeling? And other ingredients like sugar, you know, chocolate, for instance, can have that addictive feeling because it feels really good. You end up craving more and more. And you might have withdrawal symptoms, not to the extent of alcohol or drugs, but just, you know, a low when you perhaps don't have it. And so what I'm going to talk about is some of the symptoms of food addiction, and so that you can then really see where your behaviours and your patterns fit into this. There are 4 categories to an addiction. Impaired control. This is where you are not able to cut out or cut down on a particular substance, you know, even though it's doing you harm. So you're not able to, you know, in other words, you've lost control of it. So addiction to, you know, sugar, for instance, would fit in here, or chocolate, because maybe you just can't eat that one bar. You have to eat, you know, the whole thing. Maybe you can't just have one sweet. You have to eat the whole bag of sweets, for instance. Physical dependence. So this is having to use that substance more and more to get the same desired effect, or if you're not using that substance, that you have withdrawal symptoms from it. So I see this in quite high sugary foods. Sugar itself, anything that sugar is there, and especially, you know, chocolate as well, where we find ourselves maybe starting out, not, you know, in an evening, but just at one point just being able to have 2 or 3 squares, and then over time it gets to a point where you're like, I now have to eat the whole 100-gram bar. And if we don't eat that chocolate, we might feel that, you know, low, or that, oh, we really want it. So as I say, it's not withdrawal symptoms as in that you might get with not having a drug or not having you know, alcohol, but you could say that it's a really subtle drug to still have that effect. Social problems. So you're giving up on relationships, you are not doing activities that you used to love to do, you're not being able to take up, you know, daily tasks, for instance. So I see this in food in not so much the food itself then causing, you know, a problem with your, let's say, social abilities. It's that perhaps, you know, people might give up on themselves. You know, people don't want to do perhaps activities that they used to do because they're not comfortable with their weight or how they are. When we're not then comfortable with who we are, this can cause, you know, a rift in relationships, because you no longer, you know, work at them to keep them together. You no longer perhaps put in the effort, because there might be a sense of you not liking yourself. Well, I don't like myself, so how is my partner going to like me? You know, and really not then valuing, well, what does my partner see in me because I'm not liking myself? So food as a whole is not going to create that, but it is the overeating or binge eating or disordered eating that might have that effect on us. Risky use. This is where you're using that substance in completely risky situations, or situations that are just so inappropriate, but that need to use that substance is overriding that situation. Now, there's a big difference here between, you know, food addiction, like binging on something, and getting involved in, you know, gang crime or something. It's very unlikely you're going to get involved in gang crime for your chocolate addiction. But nonetheless, the danger is still your health. And I think this is actually a bit of a hidden danger, because you know, like with a drug situation, you might find yourself in that risky situation where you know that you're putting yourself in danger, but where with eating a bar of chocolate, there is no immediate danger. You know, you can sit and relax and eat the chocolate, but there is the unforeseen danger in your health. You know, you don't see the symptoms of diabetes creeping up on you. You know, you might not see yourself slowly putting on a pound after a pound. It's only after a certain while does it creep up on you. So I think this one is one to be aware of, the hidden dangers of that type of addiction. Severity. So another sign of the addiction is actually the severity of your symptoms or your, you know, classes of addiction. So if you have got, you know, 2 to 3 of those symptoms that I've mentioned, it's probably a mild addiction. If you've got 4 to 5, it's a moderate. And if you have got 6 or more, then, you know, it is an addiction, and that is what then would be classed in that DSM manual as an addiction. So let me know in the comments below, what food are you addicted to? Thank you very much.